Lord God, I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with my church family. And God, as we are here today and we're going to dig into your word and what it means to live for you and to surrender our lives, God, I pray that you open our hearts, open our eyes and our minds to the truths you have for us today. Let me speak your truth only and let us hear your truth only. I ask this in your name. Amen. There we go. Okay, so Christmas, did everybody have a good Christmas? That few had a good Christmas? There we go. Well, good Christmas, right? Good Christmas. I thought Christmas Eve service went really well. But I don't know if you're like me, but the second Christmas is over, I want Christmas gone. I want Christmas decorations put up because I am just, Christmas is that special to me. I'm just like, okay, next year. And my wife won't let me put the tree away yet. And I'm just itching to put the tree away because for me, I'm like, okay, Christmas is over. New Year's is the next thing, you know. And you start thinking about, okay, New Year's resolution. Big year. What's going to happen this year? I start thinking about my life and, you know, what do I want to accomplish this year? What things do I want to not do this year? And just by a show of hands, how many of you guys do a New Year's resolution? Just even really like light one? Just general kind of, a little bit? Okay, well, my family is really big into New Year's resolutions, and we do them every year. Usually at whatever party we're at, we go around and we say what resolution. Some of us have just one to set the bar low. So it's like, I want to wake up one day and next year, and then it's like, boom, success. But you know, some of my family really shoot for the stars, and you know, they have the multiple. They have like 2 or 4, and they have a lot. And I'm like, you guys are just setting yourselves up to fail with some of these. But you know, one that I have always had a resolution. I'm going to lose weight this year. I'm going to do it. It's time. I'm young. Let's do it. I always have that resolution. I know it's weird, but I'm being honest with you guys. That's always my resolution, and that's the only one. That's the only one that I do. And because I'm like, you know, set the bar low. I'm going to lose some weight this year. Get healthy. It's going to be good. And so New Year's happens. New Year's Eve happens. The next day I'm like, man, I'm doing great. I had a salad for lunch. I'm doing awesome. And then suddenly somebody delivers me a cake. And I'm looking at the cake. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stay away from you, cake. You look delicious. But no. And then that cake sits there and calls to me and says, Jesse, I'm delicious. You deserve it. You've been working hard. Just one little bite won't hurt. And so then I'm like, you're right, cake. I do deserve it. I've worked hard. I just came back from my family's house. I deserve some cake. You know, and so I have a slice of cake, and I'm like, that was good. But I'm done. That's it. I'm like, The cake's like, was that enough? I mean, you're not going to have cake for a long time. Do you want to kind of stock up a little bit? And I'm like, okay, you're right, cake. I'm not going to. That's why I have a second piece. Then suddenly, half the cake is gone. And I'm like, oh no. I'll start my resolution tomorrow. I'll just start over tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and somebody delivers me cookies. It's like you guys want me to fail. I mean, all the goodies I've been delivered, and even Cash's family, her grandpa made over 100 little chocolate peanut clusters and sent them all home with me. What am I supposed to do with that? But this is my thing, is, you know, I'll fail one day and I'm like, you know what, just clean slate, I'll start over tomorrow. And then I get to that day and then I mess up. And then I'm like, you know what, I'll start over the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. And then suddenly I'm like, I failed. I'll just try it again next year. You know, but it's not only with this resolution that we do this. And I know I'm not alone in this, because this is a common thing. And so I thought it'd be interesting to look at the top 5 New Year's resolutions for 2014. Statistic that was just taken of Americans. And so the number 1 is to lose weight. So at least I'm number 1. I feel good about that. Number 2 is to get organized. That ain't happening. But it's like, why even try? Spend less, save more. That's a good resolution. Harder for some than most. Number 4 is enjoy life. That one's not hard. You know, you can enjoy life. That's a good one. enjoy life. Stay fit and healthy. I don't understand how these are not the same. Maybe the way you're losing weight isn't healthy. I don't know. But that's the top 5. And there was a top 20, but I didn't want to go through all of them because some of them were kind of depressing. But those are the top 5 resolutions. But really what a New Year's resolution is, everybody, is taking control of your life. It is deciding on one thing and you're like, you know what? I'm going to take control of my life in this area. I'm going to do it. I'm finally going to take control of my life and I'm going to do it. 50% of Americans make a New Year's resolution. So that's half of America. It's a lot of people. Half of America makes a New Year's resolution. 88% of half of America fail to complete their New Year's resolution. These statistics are scary. That means 156 million people fail at their New Year's resolution. Are you kidding me? Goodness, 156 million people fail to take control of their life. And it's like even the ones that are simple. A lot, you've heard like quit smoking, not drink as much, all these other ones that are hard, but then it's like some of it like lose weight. If I lost a pound, I'd be happy. That's success. But still 88% of half of America fail, and that's 156 million people fail to complete a New Year's resolution. I saw another statistic that only 46% of those people make it past 6 months of the year with their resolution. I mean, it's crazy how much people are just consistently trying to take control of their lives, and they are consistently failing at it. I mean, that's all a New Year's resolution is taking control of your life. You're trying to take control of an area of your life you want to be better in or be better at, and 156 million people fail every year to take control of their life. Why? Why do we fail to take control of our lives, even in just one little aspect? Why are we failing at this? It shouldn't be that hard, right? It shouldn't be that hard to be self-controlled, self-disciplined to do this. What's the problem? There's something missing in the equation. I don't know about you, but every year that I fail, I'm like, man, what did I do wrong? And I start racking my brain like, oh, I could do this. Next time I could do this. I'm like, why am I doing this wrong? And then suddenly I realize that we are missing something in this equation. We're missing something when we're trying to take control of our lives, and that's the providence of God. The fact that when we try to take control of our lives, we're trying to do that without God's help. We're trying to do that without realizing that, you know what, God has a big part in this. God has a really big part in this. The providence of God, all that is God's divine intervention in our life. His intimate involvement in every aspect, our breathing. He commands our lungs to breathe. That's involuntary. That's Him. Every breath is a gift. He commands our steps. Everything is a part of our lives. Everything a part of our lives is from God and of God. The providence of God is the realization that God doesn't just throw up His hands and say, it's all you. You go for it. God doesn't do that. And so our text today is in James chapter 4, verses 13 through 16. It says this, now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this city or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why, you don't even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If there's anything I've learned in ministry in these last 5 months, it's that making plans is silly. Dean and I just had this conversation, and I told him something I've always heard since childhood is, if you want to make God laugh, tell Him your plans. I feel like that sometimes, no matter how much I plan out something, no matter how much I feel confident, I'm like, I know what I'm going to say before a sermon, or I know what I'm going to say when this happens. I get out here and I stumble and bumble around my words, and I start shaking, and, no matter what, there's all these plans that I make, and they just seem to always fail. They always seem to not work when I don't make God a part of them. You see, we forget that God is a part of our lives. And so when James is talking about this, why, you're silly when you say, I'm going to do this and that and this. He's like, you don't understand. It's going to fail if you decide where you're going. If you decide this, you decide that, and leave God out of the equation, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And so I need Skylar Evans to come up here real quick. Did you see how big his eyes got? That was so awesome. And so we're going to do a little bit of an exercise here. Does it work? Yeah. Sorry. There we go. I had to make sure it worked. I'm sorry. Okay, so here. You stand right about here. That works. Okay, so James says that your life is like a mist that appears for a little while and then is gone. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You ready? You focused? Right here. Right here. I'm going to spray a mist just like that, and then you're going to catch it. And so we can put it back in the bottle so we don't waste water, okay? So do whatever you can to catch the mist, okay? Ready? Go. That was pitiful. You want to try again? You want to try again? Okay, you ready? You can't take it. Ready? Try again. What's going on? Why can't you do it? You want to try one more time? Okay. Impossible, right? Thank you. Thank you. Give him a round of applause. You cannot catch the mist. And I'm glad that Skylar was a good sport about that, because I just would have gotten mad. But it's impossible. And what James is trying to say is like, when you're trying to take control of your life, it's like trying to catch the mist with your hand and control it. It's trying to contain a fog. Like if you've ever driven out early in the morning and after Christmas Eve service, Cash and I were driving to Wichita and it was really foggy. And if you went outside and tried to contain the fog, you couldn't do it. That's what James is saying, is like, that's what your life is like. It is like a mist that is here for a second and then it's gone. That's how quick it is. That's how quick your life is. And just like that, when you're trying to take control of your life, it's just like trying to grab the mist. It's like trying to control fog. It's like trying to contain the mist. It's impossible. You cannot control your life. And so here in Proverbs 16:9 it says, "The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps." We can plan all we want, but it will not happen unless God establishes our steps. It will not happen. We can plan to do this or that, and if we're like, you know what, God, you can sit out on this one, I've got it. He's like, all right, but I'm still going to help you because I know you know that it's going to fail without me. God, we cannot succeed without God in our lives and without God's providence in our lives. And every step we take, every breath we take, He is watching us. That's song lyrics, no big deal. That's what I'm saying. Ultimately, no matter what, we are used to glorify God. And this is a hard concept for me. I've struggled with this. But even those who mock God with everything that they are used by God to glorify Him. Even those who are with all their breath saying God doesn't exist, just by saying that, they are using the breath that God has given them. They are using the words God has given them to say God is not real. He's using that to glorify Him, because He's going to prove them wrong. No matter what, the good, the bad, everything is used to glorify God. That is the providence of God. In every situation, in every little teeny corner of our lives, God is using us and using others to glorify Himself. Good, bad, doesn't matter. He will be glorified. And that's what I tell people. I have a friend who is a hardcore atheist, and he fights me on my faith all the time. All the time. He's just like, it is just silly that you're a Christian. It's ridiculous. You're just believing what your parents raised you. I'm like, buddy, even now, God is using you to glorify Him. He's using you to test me, to strengthen my faith. And therefore, He's being glorified. He doesn't know what to say. People cannot deny the providence of God because it is in everything. It is in everything. In Ephesians 1:11, it says this: "Furthermore, because we are united with Christ, we have received an inheritance from God. For He chose us in advance, and He makes everything work out according to His plan." He makes everything work out according to His plan. Everything. The good, the bad, everything He works for His plan. Everything. Think about that. The bad in your life is used to glorify God. That's hard for me to believe. I'm like, God, how on earth can you use this to glorify yourself? And all He says is, watch. Watch it happen. And here's the greatest thing about God's providence, the greatest work of God's providence in our lives, is He decided to send His only Son to come be a part of us, a part of our lives. He provided salvation, He provided grace and forgiveness so He could be that much closer to us. He could be that much closer. We don't have to suffer the punishment for sin now. Now we can come straight to God. We don't need a priest. We don't need confessional. We don't need any of these things to reach God. We can go straight to Him. That's how close we can be to Him. We don't need a middleman now. Christ was our middleman. He works out everything according to His plan. The ultimate work of God's providence is Christ. There was a woman who was really down on her luck. She had quit her job and she went into full-time ministry. And it was what she believed God was telling her to do. And honestly, it was. God had told her to enter into full-time ministry. Well, she went into full-time ministry. Her whole family said, don't do it, don't quit your job. She was a teacher, it worked out, had a great job. She quit her full-time job, went into full-time ministry with a partner. Well, about a year or two down the line, that partner left the ministry, stole all the money, and left the country. And suddenly, this woman is just left with nothing. She has no way to support her family. She has nothing. And her family keeps telling her, I told you this was going to happen. God wasn't telling you to go into ministry. But still, this woman was like, God, show me what to do. Show me what to do. And so this woman hears of a job opening in a state far away and in a small town, and she takes the leap and goes to that job. Well, her son in high school is growing up, her son in elementary school is growing up, and suddenly that son ends up going to college in that town. And then she gets laid off. And everything just seems awful. But then that son who went to college meets his wife, and then meets a friend who gets him a job at a church, and then now he's the head pastor. My mom and I and my brother were in the worst possible situation when her partner in ministry had left and stole all the money, stole everything. We were in the worst situation ever. We were going to be homeless. And then suddenly, we were at church one day and this person said, hey, there's a music teacher job opening in Haviland, Kansas. And so she took it. We moved down there. I end up at Barclay. I meet Kasha. I meet Derek. The rest is history. If I had not decided, there was also another choice I had. I had the choice to either stay with my mom or my dad. At that point, when we were moving to Kansas, I had the choice. To this day, the hardest choice I've ever made in my life. But that single choice led to so much. I truly believed in my heart that God wanted me to move to Kansas. And so I followed God on this crazy whim. This kid with skinny jeans, eyeliner, long black hair. I mean, that was me. Check my Facebook and the old pictures, you'll see. But I moved to Haviland, and even in Haviland, I was like, my life is horrible. This is awful. God, why did you bring me here? Why did I do this? We don't see how God uses every single little step, every single choice, every single person in your life He is using for His plan. I can tell you story upon story upon story of God's providence in my life. And at the time, I didn't think God was working in my life. But He was. This is God's providence in our lives. This is God's work, intimate involvement, and it is His divine intervention in our lives. And here we are trying to plan our lives without Him in mind. So my question is, when we are making our New Year's resolutions this year, when we come full circle and think about our New Year's resolutions and think, I want to lose weight. I'm not going to do that this year. I'm not going to do that this year. What I'm going to decide is that I'm going to surrender to God's plan in my life. That I'm not going to make a plan. I'm not saying goals are bad. Make a goal, but make God a part of it. Pray about it. And as you pursue that goal, if God says this isn't for you, don't fight Him on it. Say, okay, show me where to go. Too long as the people of God have we done thing after thing, choice after choice, without consulting God, without making God a part of the process. I think this year, 2014, is the year that we need to stop that. This is a big year for Macksville Christian Church. This is a big year for each one of you. This is a big year. Big things are coming. I truly believe that. But we will fail if God is not a part of it. And so my encouragement for myself, for you, for anyone else is, resolutions aside, make God a part of your life. Make God a part of your decisions. And realize that no matter what you do, God's going. His plan is going to happen. He will be glorified. Are you going to fight against it? Or are you going to go along with it? Will you pray for me, please? Lord, I pray today as we examine our lives, as we look at how we make choices and decisions, Lord, that how we tend to get overconfident and think we can do it without you, but God, that's just not the case. Lord, I thank you that you don't just throw your hands up and say, you know what, I'm done. Lord, you are constantly reaching out to us. You are consistent in your love, steadfast in forgiveness and grace. Lord, words cannot describe our gratitude for that. We thank you and love you. In your name we